Hello everyone! Today I'm starting a new series called Valkyrie Talks About Hard Topics and Does Other Stuff, or for short, Tough Stuff. Like my podcast, shameless plug already, a few seconds in, my bad. I want my channel to be a place where I can talk about things, and I've been battling a lot of pretty personal issues lately that I'd love to get out into the open, and I also wanted to give people a chance to share their own experiences and open myself up more to conversations surrounding tough topics and really get comfortable with them. I'm at a place now where I feel really open with those I care deeply for, and I want to talk through some things with you today. So, what do I want to talk about? Well, I'm carving a pumpkin, feeling very connected with my inner child roots, so why don't we talk about this? I don't feel like a child anymore. When I was growing up, I danced and I sung and I was acting, I was playing instruments, and I just loved life. I remember sitting in front of this old family TV and being able to watch cartoons and watch videos and music videos, and I would just sit and sing in front of this computer. And my dad had this big folder of music videos that we'd watch, and then when I got the ability to listen to music on my own with my MP3 player, everything kind of changed. I started to form worlds in my head that I'd listen to music for hours on, and I would dance around or fight bad guys or just be the best at something. Elementary school was pretty easy, and I had a lot of free time to play video games and watch things, and it gave me inspiration for a lot of my world building that I do. I did that basically all the way until high school, and middle school was more realistic, more realistic worlds I guess I would build, but they were still pretty fan fiction-esque. For those of you who know about Wattpad, you get me, High school was more realistic than middle school. I was more operating under the idea that everyone liked me and everyone wanted to be me and I was the best. And when you think about that all the time, you kind of get an ego. And I realized that I did during quarantine, and I'll touch a little bit on how it evolved into my "You're Not Special" ideology in a future video. Check in next week. But bottom line is, I realized I wasn't as special as I thought I was and completely stopped daydreaming. Instead of taking walks to fantasize or listen to music to build worlds in my head, I took walks to talk with myself and figure out who I was. And this was a necessary part of growing older and becoming the person that sits before you today. But a little while ago, I realized I had stopped dreaming. I had stopped waking up in the middle of the night with vivid nightmares or fantasies, which my sleep will thank me for, but not really my mind. I had stopped thinking about music as often, and when I started traveling and having no real free time for play, I stopped listening to music altogether. I'd talk to people about how much I loved music and how I'd listen all the time, but in reality, I was only doing it when I needed something to occupy my time. I was hearing music, but I was never actually listening. As you know, I lived in New York, in LA, and Canada, and a bunch of other places for a couple months, and during that time, yes, I was listening to music, but halfway through I started to realize that I wasn't feeling the same way. I wasn't excited about life and excited about progress. I was truly invested in the things I was doing, don't get me wrong, but I didn't feel the same. I felt different, like an adult. Ugh. Like someone who would have to worry about taxes and paying bills in the next couple of years. Like someone who had to worry about making a living. And suddenly I was in LA working full-time at SpaceX and on Project Firefly and was feeling so drained. It all got to me. I got sick halfway through, and I'm pretty sure a lot of it was due to the fact that I wasn't letting myself get true rest. I wasn't letting myself be a child. I was almost grieving that inner child, hoping that it would come back, but secretly knowing it'd be almost impossible. Until it wasn't. I was pretty sure that if I tried hard enough, I could bring her back. I imagined my tiny baby self walking towards me, embracing me, and I can remember how I was sitting in front of that computer watching those music videos and having crazy dreams and building crazy worlds, and I could remember it, and see it, and hear it, feel it, taste it. It was all coming back to me. Halfway through SpaceX, I made the decision to start making YouTube videos. I was determined to make videos and filmed one in California that didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to, so I refilmed it, which you'll see that one next week, so check back. It wasn't until I got to Vegas that I really started to snowball and think of video ideas. All of a sudden, every little video or topic or conversation I had was jotted down on a little notepad and sent to my Notion page. And I've become obsessed with this idea of creating content that's sit down, research something, and spit something out that's viable, and I'm just getting started. When you first start something like YouTube, it's kind of hard to think about the different possibilities. my mind has always been pretty hardwired to be super productive. So everything that I do that isn't giving me an instant return or isn't working towards something that will give me a return is kind of something that I'm hardwired to not want to do. So what if YouTube isn't productive? What if I don't make money from it? What if I end up not liking it and wasting all this time making videos? And that kind of thinking is, it's important in your everyday life. It's important for getting things done. And I think that, it's a good thing that I have it, because I wouldn't be where I am today without it. But that also led to my inner child being completely lost. I need to do things that my inner child likes and thrives off of, or I'm just going to be burnt out all the time and find no real sense of fulfillment. I've been feeling so satisfied with my days recently, and it's because for a majority of the day, I'm doing research for my company, and the other parts of the day are watching Adventure Time with my boyfriend, or writing, or filming, or editing the YouTube videos, or planning out different parts of my book. And it's a really clever balance of things that I'm finding extremely enjoyable, that it really makes such all the difference. Although editing does hit me where it hurts sometimes, it's fine. With the same kind of thing, I found time to do shorter videos and then more intense long-form ones. I'm really liking the process of watching something and reviewing it and kind of looking into an alternate form of that concept, like the last video. I'm just really enjoying how everything is going. And it's just all about that balance of time that I'm spending on things that could make me money and then things that make me happy. And, by this time, I'll be living in Maine with my boyfriend, by the time you see this, and I'll be building Project Firefly a little bit more, and we're in the middle of a whole revamp, so that'll be pretty interesting. But I'm happy with the direction we're going to take it, and I don't feel like I would be as happy with that direction if I kept going in the same way that I was going during the summer. I have kind of been on a go, 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 go mentality for the last 2.5 years, and it wasn't until this year when I took another gap that I really realized, wow, I don't know how to slow down. And yes, I can recognize that I'm only here because I wanted to go, go, go and not stop working. But I think the most interesting thing about it is that now I want to keep working every day, but I don't feel tired at the end of the day. I don't feel like I wasn't productive. I feel like I was way harder on myself when I was just doing things that I had to do versus things that also made me happy, also made me love life. And, even just carving this pumpkin, I feel like it's so nice to be able to just do things like that, take a little bit of time. My productive brain is make a video out of it, and maybe this isn't as exciting to watch, but I think it's an interesting thing to kind of talk about, this idea of balance in your inner child and awakening it again. And I wanted to just end it off with a little story. I ask my dad a lot of the time how he dreams, or if he lucid dreams or anything like that. And he said, yeah, I don't really dream anymore. And I think that that's so interesting. I don't ever want to stop dreaming. The moment I lose my dreams is the moment I have failed. My inner child thrives off of me being creative. And for a while, I didn't do that many creative things. I do a one-off project here or there, or I make a gift for someone that made me feel really creative, and then it would all dissipate, and I would lose it again. And it would take a couple of months for me to find it and revamp all of this creative energy that I have flowing through my veins. And it was really hard. And I think it's an interesting thing to go back, see who your inner child is, and figure out what steps you have to take to ignite that part of yourself again. I guarantee that if you do things that you genuinely love while you're doing things that you need to do, it's going to make life so much more enjoyable. It's kind of the thing of if you're working a 9-to-5, you go to a 9-to-5 and you're basically waiting until work is done to go watch a show with your family, or to go train for something, or do a challenge. All these things are making life worth living. And I've talked a little bit about all of this stuff in my podcast, but I wanted to just touch on the last thing, which is we are all surviving, but a large majority of people are not living. And I think one of the major keys to living is just having something that you look forward to in the day that defines your inner child and makes you want to bring out that inner child again. Thank you all so much for watching. Here's my pumpkin. it doesn't really look like what I wanted it to look like. I was kind of aiming for a guillotine, chopping off this guy's head. The guts were like the little pumpkin guts, and like I made like a little body, as you can see here, but I don't really think it turned out like that. But I'm fine. It's fine. It is what it is. I actually got so upset that I just turned the pumpkin around and made another one. So this is basically the other one, very traditional, put a little light in it, that's basically it. So if it's time for you to crack open the fraud melon, that is a great thing to do, and do it with your family, unleash your inner child. I did this with that pumpkin, and I don't know if it worked out too well for me, but it was something creative, it was something fun. And with that being said, this is Little Bird signing off.